parts, but really going into the different levels of the subtle body. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the three major bodies that we experience as a human being in this life. And then going through those bodies, we'll talk about the subtle energy that's attached to each of them and get into talking about what a chakra is. And then we'll end on some awareness of chakras and the meditative practices you can go specifically into focusing on chakra work. And chakras themselves, the best way, let's see, I tried to write down some really specific, easy to understand phrases, because a lot of this work in subtle body work and this information is coming from really ancient knowledge. So it actually uses Sanskrit, which is a completely different language. So I will introduce some of those terms. The term chakra it translates loosely as wheel of light. And it is like a conduit, a conductor. It is the link between the physical and the spiritual realms. It is the way that we as humans can tap into, we talk about energy and it flowing down or becoming more grounded so that we can use this subtle energy in our physical body. And we also can then meditate on raising the vibration or the frequency of these chakras so that we can tap into the subtle energy world and work with that energy as well. So it really is an all-around healing meditative work when you get into trying to understand where the chakra is in your body, and then using your mind, some visualization techniques, some breath work, connecting to prana, which is that vital, another term there for you, prana, vital life force energy. It's the cosmic life force energy that is within us. It permeates every single created, living, formless, anything in the entire universe. Prana is said to just filter through everything and connect all of us, be it the macro cosmic universe, which is the planets, the solar system, everything extending outside of our galaxy, the whole universe, and then our microcosmic awareness, which is our own universe, our body, what's in our body, our organs, our tissues, our muscles, all of that. Physical, but then also our emotions, our thoughts, our mind, our intellect, our personality, and all of those things that aren't tangible, things that aren't something that we say that we can touch, but it's more of a sense or a feel or a vibe, a vibration. So talking about these different bodies, first I want to talk about in your physical body, that can also be referred to as the food sheath. So it's the most gross part of our physical being, and it's really dependent on prana. And during life, during conception, the prana is said to enter through the medulla oblongata in the base of the brain, and then prana keeps the body alive, connecting the astral body to the physical realm, the physical body, and exits with the astral body upon death. So these are impermanent states, and we all know that about life as it is, which is somewhat comforting to me, knowing that life is supposed to change and evolve, especially during uncertain times. Kind of, I talked about this the last time, kind of understanding that that's how life is, and any sort of regulated consistency isn't forced, but it's impermanent. It's something that will inevitably change at some point. So that's the physical body, is your most gross part of our existence. And we also find our personality in our gross body. So that word personality comes from the word persona, which means mask. So I kind of like to think about that, especially in this epidemic times with everyone wearing a mask, just understanding and being aware that your physical body is your mask all the time. And so it's something that it's not who we are, it's not our soul, it's not the impermanent part of our being. It is something that is changeable, it's malleable. We have a lot of control over it as we grow through the years by looking at our nutrition, what we take into our body, looking at what we're exposing ourselves to as far as viewing, what we look at, where we live, what we choose to watch on TV or listen to or talk to or have friendly relations or relationships at all. These are all parts of our physical realm, things that are outside of us that we're interacting with and that create our personality and our identity in our everyday lives. And then more subtle, so now we're going to get into the subtle bodies. Then the physical body is the astral body. This is kind of like the conductor of the physical body. And it has three different parts to it, the mind sheath, the intelligence sheath, and then the etheric sheath. I'm just going to read something I wrote earlier today. When in this subtle body, as part of the etheric sheath, you have the 5 elements that you hear a lot about. So you have earth, air, fire, water, and ether. And there are Sanskrit terms for each of those that I'm not going to try to read to you because they're very complicated. But these 5 parts of the etheric sheath are what help us connect to the physical body. They're those part of the conduit that I'm talking about here. Is if you were thinking of us, the body, as a battery, these are sort of charging centers in our astral body that help us recharge our bodies through these 5 senses, through earth, air, fire, water, and ether, because they're part of the macrocosmic universe and a part of our microcosmic universe. And prana connects through that conduit to kind of keep our vital energy going, to keep us alive. In those part of the prana, the work of moving this energy through the body, which the meditation on chakra work is going to tap into, that we get into later. There's different movements of this energy through the body. And there are a lot of ancient different martial arts and studies that talk about how to move prana, like the Chinese call it qi, just to move the energy through your body. So there are different ways that you can move this body. The first way, and I'm going to try to say these words for you guys, is Vyana, which is the outward moving air. It regulates overall body movement, it permeates the whole body, and it coordinates all the other parts of your astral body system, just kind of connecting all of those senses that I just talked about. And then Udana is upward moving air. This is when we're meditating, we're really working with this kind of control, this movement, and because it functions between the top of the head and the throat. So when we're ever meditating on your Vishuddha chakra, which is your throat, or Ajna, which is your third eye, you're really working with this energy at the top part of the body. And again, I think of the body as a battery. So this outward moving air, this upward moving air, I kind of think of that more as a positive force on a battery, like giving out that positive force. And that's generally what I think of as prana as well, which is a term that we use also to just talk about how all of the air moves from your throat to your diaphragm. When you start talking about breath work and breath control, we talk about Ujjayi breath. Ujjayi is a term for victorious breath. And the reason that we call it that is because it really is a victory over the control over your air movement. And what you do is you kind of concentrate the energy in your belly muscles to contract or squeeze in together your belly muscles so that your diaphragm is a little closer up to your rib basket. And you have less belly movement when we're breathing, because we automatically use our belly. It goes in and out, those muscles, when we're breathing. And it contains the air in our lungs a little more and works on filling that space when we inhale. If you're squeezing those belly muscles in around the diaphragm has less space to move, and it kind of forces the air out a little more. And also when you inhale, the diaphragm doesn't release as much, so you have more space in the chest, and you're focusing on filling up the chest and really working with that prana moving up and down the whole torso. Is all of this making sense? I feel like I'm throwing a lot of information, so if you guys have any questions, just stop me at any time. And the prana, when we're using that Ujjayi breathing, is really beneficial for opening the lungs and allowing the air in. I talk a lot when I'm teaching yoga about allowing air into the body, because the truth is, it's the atmospheric pressure around us that is forcing the air into the body. It's not something that you have to work on to inhale. So when you're having trouble breathing, when you're having trouble taking in breath, which quite frankly, I'm experiencing a lot of that with the anxiety that's in the air right now, just getting a full deep breath, you have to relax. That's anxiety that is keeping you from being able to breathe. You have to soften and allow the air into the body, because the air is actually doing the work for you. It's trying to get into the body. You just have to relax to open and allow the air in. And then that's actually more effort for you to then push that air out, which I like to correlate with the idea of letting go. When you think let go, that's something that you release, you relax, and that makes everything happen and go away. But hi, yes, go ahead, Laura. Oh, I can hear you.
So when you want, like, I have a hard time running, that I feel like my breath, so should I be holding my stomach in more so that it is more in my lungs?
So that's a good question. So when you're exercising, a strong core, which is those intercostal, especially the muscles lining the inside around your belly and the diaphragm, and then your lower abs, your abdominal muscles, the stronger they are, the more you have of a support in your core. And that's just going to help your posture, first of all, with running. So you're standing up a little bit straighter. And then, like I said, too, that's going to hopefully create more space for you to concentrate the breath going into your lungs and filling your lungs, expanding the rib basket. So I would say if you're having trouble breathing, it can have to do with a couple of things when you're running, but posture is a big deal, and really strengthening and becoming aware of how you're holding your belly muscles and how you're expanding your chest when you're breathing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that help? And then Jacqueline, you said something, are we resisting this natural process when anxiety is high? Yes. 100%. When we're anxious, we're resisting the natural process of letting body accept air into it. We're just closing off our throat passages. We're constricting the airflow. And it's this anxiety, right, that's clenching our muscles and keeping us from being able to allow the air in. So it's really that relaxation that's going to let us take more oxygen into the body. And then that's going to ease our anxiety once we're able to let our blood become more oxygenated, and just relieving all of the systems with a more natural rhythm and flow with your breath. So that is prana. It's a big deal. And for us, when we're thinking about it within the subtle body system, that specifically we tap into prana between our navel and our throat, or our diaphragm rather, and our throat. And then two other terms here. Samana is balancing air, and that travels just between the abdominal area, the navel, and the heart. So right in here, working with the air in there, is called samana. And then air that moves away from you, which we're going to tap into today, grounding air, or air that moves between, or it's energy really, not just air, but prana is vital air force, vital air energy. So apana is the air that moves away from the body, from the navel to the feet. So when we tap into Muladhara, which is our root chakra, we're really going to tap into breathing and feeling our connection to the ground. Sometimes when we tap into this subtle energy work, the sensation that you feel can be physical. So when we're breathing in and out in our meditation later or over the next few weeks, just noticing any sensations in your body that will give you clues into whether or not you are activating or aligning your chakras. I'll have two resources at the end of this too for you guys to check out. There's a local woman who I work with at Mookshi Healing Arts Center, also known as Mookshi Wellness Center. She has a chakra activation deck. Her name is Brooke, and I will tell you more about that at the end. If you want to deepen these practices even beyond the 10 minutes that we're doing, just a resource you can check out that's local too, so you can support one of our local Pittsburgh healing artists. So moving on from the astral body, we start with the physical body, and that is our not just the gross physical body, but the connection to the outside world, how you create your personality. And then your astral body is that subtle body, how you're moving the energy within your body through the different systems, the different parts of energy in your body, how you're connecting to the flow through your body. And then from there, from those two bodies that are very intimately connected, you go to the casual body, which is, and this is a quote from one of my books, is called The Book of Chakras and Subtle Bodies, right here. Okay. And the author of that is Stephen Sturgis. He has a different name too for his spiritual work. But the causal body is the body of light that reflects blissfulness of the self. So that's really your light sheath. And then even more subtle than the causal body, which is often referred to as the part of us I feel that is the wave. You know, if you're going to talk about in some ancient Japanese cultures, I think is where it's originated, is the wave is simply going back into the ocean, and that is representation of a life on earth, is wave. And then when you die, you go back into the ocean and become a part of the ocean. And then, but within that essence of ourselves as a human, slightly different than a wave, we do have this really specific, unique pattern of energy, and that is our soul. And that is in the underlying work of all of this, just sort of introspection and understanding and seeking and discovery of what makes us human, why we are here, that big question. How are we truly a part of everything? What makes us different or the same than everything else around us? And this soul is unique to every living thing. And all of these different souls are, like, in my mind, I correlate it to being part of a puzzle piece, or part of a puzzle. We're all just little pieces of that puzzle. And sometime once the puzzle's all put together, that journey has been complete, and all of a sudden everything can get jumbled up and reorganized, and the puzzle will be put back together in a different way. And the puzzle usually ends up looking the same. It's the idea of destiny versus free will again as well, when you're looking at that kind of an analogy with putting a puzzle together, and just the idea that you could come back in a different part of the puzzle in a different shape and still have a purpose, and still have a unique perspective and your own part to play in creating an image, creating a life, being a part of a journey, all of that. So those are the 4 different levels of, I would say, going from a solid to a formless state. So the 3 main, you have physical body, astral body, and then causal body. And then you have your soul, which is the collective consciousness piece of you, that you are your own conscious state, and then everything else is a consciousness. And you are your own unique puzzle piece as a part of that giant puzzle of the universe or the galaxy or the earth or just your lifetime, whatever you're looking at, however big of a picture you're going to. So looking at that, just kind of understanding the movement of energy through the body systems, the different kinds of bodies. I want to talk specifically about chakras and how they're a part of these subtle bodies that we just learned about, especially the astral body, which is where a lot of this chakra work comes into play. I did a little bit of research on the dream state as well for this chat, but it's kind of complicated to talk about the different levels of consciousness that you go through when you're meditating. So I might get into that a little bit more as we go through some of our chakra work. Right now, just really want to talk about the Muladhara chakra, which is our base chakra. Chakras in general, as I said, they're the link between the physical and the spiritual realm, and you can facilitate the flow and interchange of energies either downwards, so that you're really connecting that subtle energy work into the physical body, or you can raise the frequency and connect into a more subtle realm. And that's when we talk about things like telepathy or healing hands or other forms of energy that are not just physically exerting yourself. So chakra meditation can help us to transcend our identification with the impermanent physical body. And again, that's really relating to some of the anxiety and feelings that we're going through right now in such an impermanent, fluctuating state of affairs around us in our environment. And the whole world really is experiencing this at the same time. So when we're doing this chakra work, I just want to talk specifically about meditating on a chakra. To do this work, whoever came up with these ideas in the first place came up with something called a yantra, Y-A-N-T-R-A, to go with each chakra. And basically these are pictures, these are visualizations, these are energetic depictions, or, and I'll show you a picture, actually drawings of what our root chakra is supposed to look like. And I'm going to describe that to you first as well, just so you can get a visual, and then I'll show you the picture and you can see if your mind's eye painted that visual to match the yantra from Muladhara, or the root chakra. So root chakra is red, and it is a 4-petaled lotus. It has a crimson color, and all 4 of those petals are actually, they're facing downward. And it's situated differently in males and females, and we'll talk more about that as we go on through these weeks too. Males and females actually develop differently in their energetic, their subtle bodies. So they mature at a different rate. So when you hear these adages about how females seem like they're more mature than males, it's actually true. There's some science behind it. They simply develop their chakra system slower than females do. So for everyone, though, we all start on the same page for Muladhara. It takes about the first 7 years of our lives to develop this root chakra. And that's really connected to instinct, survival, primal urges, your metabolism, your reproduction system, fight or flight. All of those things kind of start foundationally in Muladhara energetically. And there are 4 sounds that go along with this as well. They are Va, V-A, Sha, S-H, well, it's actually, I should spell them for you. Sa, S with a line over it, and then A. Sa, just S-A, and then with a little dot under the S, and then S-A, just plain S-A. So it's really looks like it's the same for the last 3 syllables, but they're different slightly just in how you pronounce them. I just want to make sure that I'm saying them correctly. And sorry guys, I thought I had it saved. Sa. Okay, so the first one is VA, and that's pronounced Vam. Vam. And then the second one, SA, but with a line over the first S. It's pronounced Am. So there's a little bit of a break between the S and the And then the third one is Sham. So it's pronounced with an SH sound, and that's the S with the dot underneath it. Sham. And then the last one is Sam. S-A-M, Sam. So they are not spelled how you pronounce them at all. So I'm going to say them again. It's Vam, Saam, Sham, and Sam. And these 4 syllables are said to represent those 4 petals of the lotus. And then along with that, there's an elephant in this picture. And the elephant is, on top of the elephant is Indrina, which is the god of firmament. And depending on what picture you look at, sometimes the trunk of the elephant, there are 7 trunks. And they actually represent something in Ayurvedic medicine. They represent the 7 tissues of the body. And then there might also be 8 golden spears in a picture that you find. And those are supposed to, 7 of those spears are supposed to guard the earth. And then, and they guard 7 mountains. And then 1 is to guard the earth. So sorry about that. 8 spears here, 1 guards the earth, and then the other 7 guards 7 spiritual mountains. So these are just ideas in the yantra that I was talking about, that picture, that visualization, so that you can see the 4 red petals, so that you have those 4 syllables in your mind when you're meditating. And a yantra is basically a map for so it's a form for you to see or for you to look at. And through having that form, you will find the formless. So that's correlating with what we've been talking about this whole time, just moving from a more physical body into a more subtle energy, a more subtle awareness of what's going on. And I like to talk about subtle energy like your imagination. When we say visualization, you're really tapping into your strength of your imaginative powers and your ability to see something in your mind's eye, your ability to create or paint with your own mind and see these colors and really feel what goes along with envisioning that in your mind. So here's this picture for you guys to see. And again, those 4 syllables, vam, sam, sham, and sam. So something, just another little note about the chakra that I want to share is that it really, I like how it helps. It's supposed to help you develop an inner experience to really strengthen your understanding and presence, not just in meditation, but to take that with you in your life as well. I love how this work is also supposed to help activate dormant powers in chakras so they can be purified, balanced, strengthened. So the idea is that in Muladhara, this is where the beginning of your enlightenment process can really begin. So that's why we're starting here with our meditation. In Muladhara, that's where Ida and Pingala meet, and Ida and Pingala are 2 energetic entwined forms that sort of look like DNA going up Shushumna, which is your spinal cord or the energy in your spinal cord. And you actually will see a representation of Ida Pingala and Shushumna in medicine, in that, do you guys know that medical staff within that is exactly Kundalini rising, basically. It's the representation of Kundalini going up, all of those nadis. Nadi is another term for pathway, for energy, for prana, for you to move through and tap into those different currents that I talked about before in the body, the different parts of the body that carry energy through the astral body. And it's interesting, we were talking about the difference in males and females, and Muladhara is actually located in a different place in a male and a female, just slightly, basically just because anatomically we're different in that area. So the energy center is slightly different in males and females, just a little higher or lower, depending on the position between your the genitals and the anus, which are fun terms to say. So guys, let's get into this meditation. I want to show you this picture again. So if you guys want to see this in your mind's eye, or just picture anything that might sort of look like a red flower in your mind. Here's another little picture that I actually really liked. Nice. And then we're just going to sit and breathe. And when we're doing this breath work, I want to offer you mudra, which is a hand position, and this is the earth mudra. So it's your ring finger and your thumb coming together to touch. You can do those with both of your hands here. I'm sorry, I'm not really seated so you can see my whole body, but I'm just sitting. And wherever you find your seat, whether you're sitting in a chair, on a couch, if you're sitting where you get your feet flat on the floor, I really recommend that. So you can also sit cross-legged and have your mudra with your hands resting in your lap. And just make sure that your sit bones then are really feeling nice and grounded. And pull in the belly muscles here, just pulling them in towards the belly button, in towards the spine, just giving yourself a really strong support. And then your hands in that position, ring finger touching your thumb, and go ahead, close your eyes. You might see those 4 a picture of that four-petaled lotus in your mind, the elephant. If you notice, there was also a yellow square in that four-petaled lotus. That represents the earth, grounding. Start to breathe in and out through the nose. And as you breathe into the body, keeping your mind on that visualization. You might also want to fill the space with sound. If you'd like to do that, hear the sound lum, L-A-M, lum. You might start to feel almost a magnetic pull from your feet to the floor or your sit bones into where you're sitting. Feeling like the earth is connecting with you. Offering you support. If you find thoughts coming up that feel insecure, doubtful, this is your energy letting you know that you have some work to breathe into, some processing. So give yourself some positive affirmations. Again, just focusing on LAM here. Or you can think, my body supports me with its strength. My body supports me with its strength. I am nurtured by the energy of the earth. I am nurtured by the energy of the earth. I am exactly where I need to be. I am exactly where I need to be. Listening to the sound of your breath, still supporting the spine here with strong belly muscles. Feeling connected and supported. Just a couple more minutes here, breathing. Notice the feeling of your ring finger touching the thumb. Feel the tops of your hands, backs of your hands resting on your legs. Soften your jaw, soften your eyelids. You can do that very easily by thinking of something joyful, thinking of a smile, something that makes you smile. And coming back to that vision of the four-petaled lotus, yellow square, elephant with 7 trunks, and 8 golden spears. Perhaps coming back to the mantra LAM, L-A-M, LAM. If you're feeling like a little more adventure in your meditation, you might even recall those 4 syllables. And as you recall them, looking at one of each of the 4 crimson petals in your mind. Vam, Sam, Sham, Sam. Vam, Sam, Sham, Sam. Three or four more breaths in and out right here. Then let your mantra or affirmation work fade. Let the vision fade. Slowly opening the eyes, releasing your hands from the mudra. Bring them together at heart center here, pressing the palms together, stretching the wrists. And just looking at the space over your fingertips here. Find some gratitude as you take inventory of your physical body, how that feels. If connecting to that subtle body chakra work helped you to feel more grounded, more calm, more powerful in your own essence through that Muladhara work. We'll seal that practice, that meditation, with the sound of an Om. So go ahead, lift your chest into your thumbs here. So you're really pressing your thumbs against your chest, and you can feel the vibration here when we Om. So we'll exhale empty. Next, inhale to Om. Bring your thumbs to your forehead. Namaste. That means the light in me honors the light in you. So that's that casual body, light body that we're honoring here, connecting to your soul. So seeing that individual beauty in you, I honor that. And I'm so grateful you guys could join us. I hope that some of this work really landed or resonated with you, and you're interested in finding out more about your chakra and meditating to align yourself with that awareness and that healing energy. Thanks for joining us. Any questions, guys?
There was a, can breathing help stop?
Yes. Can breathing help stop a racing heart when anxious? 100%. So this breath work, for sure, again, that's relating to panic and anxiety, is going to feel like you don't have breath, and then the heart is working harder. It's working to pump that blood faster to just get you oxygen into the body. So yes, finding a space where you can try to relax the physical body to allow the air in is going to help you find more breath, more space for breath. And it's definitely going to ease that racing heart as well. I actually just did that practice earlier today in the shower. I was just having a little bit of panic for whatever reason, all of these shifting energies. And I really had to work on relaxing my body to allow the air in. And once I realized, once you find that space, once you find that openness in the body, that is a relief in and of itself. Your body is so happy to be able to take that air back into the body. So yes, breath work 100% will help that anxious racing heart for sure. Awesome. Thanks for that question. Thanks, Lori. All right, guys.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Erin. We really appreciate your time, and we're going to do something again next week around 7/7/15. So we'll let you know on our South Hills Community Wellness page. And Saturday morning, I think that we're going to have an exercise class with Alicia McGinty. She's a friend of my daughter's, and that's going to be at 10. And then Saturday evening, I think at 5 or 5:30, we have just a discussion talk. So appreciate your time, Erin. And
thanks for having me.
You. Yeah, work my hours more. Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye.